What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue. Yes, we've made it to another episode of NGR Radio. I am your host, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, Shaniqua himself.
Yes!
Matt Keel. Matt, I'm so glad you're here.
I was waiting for that. I was like, is he not glad this time?
I don't know. Was that really sincere? It was kind of forced.
I think when he wrote it, it was sincere.
I had to. The first time it was sincere. Now I just have to say it every time.
Now it's just like, well, Corey. We've reached this moment in the relationship. It just feels like we're going through the motions. You know. I think we need to spice it up.
I know we do. We do. Your hair looks nice.
Thank you. So does yours. You have a black hat instead of a gray one.
I know. It's my new one.
And now you don't have a hat on. Oh my God!
I know this
There's
is my
hair under there.
Well, barely. It's
still there. You're not quite Costanza, so
No.
it's fine.
Almost.
Oh boy. Anyways, with us this week, the maestro of the master race himself. Well, he calls himself that. I don't really know if anybody else calls him that.
Listen, the fate of how much money did you just spend is in my hands.
I know.
Oh
Lee's,
boy.
Lee's helping me build a streaming PC,
Oh no.
and I just spent a big shiny penny and sent
A penny?
I sent all my boxes to him. Hoping that it comes back in one piece instead of in 47 different boxes.
He's gonna send all the empty boxes back and no computer.
he's just like, yeah, these are really the parts that I need for
Mecca.
my ivory tower.
All of them are gonna be filled. All of them are gonna be filled with like those shipping peanuts made of styrofoam, and on each one is gonna be written #JustMoney, bruh.
Oh man. Hey Lee, so I was talking to Dan the other day, and he said that he was going to give me his old graphics card, and I don't know what kind of graphics card it is. He said it's only about 6 months old, but he got a new one. So when I figure out the weird code that you guys use for your PC parts, I'll tell you what kind of graphics card it is.
Sounds good. If it's only 6 months old, it's probably like a GTX 970, unless you went big and went for a 980 Ti.
I think he said 970.
It's probably a 970, which is good. That's a good graphic card. I told Ray to grab it. Then he was like, well, it's only got 3.5 gigabytes of RAM. I'm like, it's not always about that.
Download more.
Oh, no. That's what I said. That's what I said, but I don't know. Anyways, if you didn't know, this is our community show where we bring people on from the community to talk games and nerd stuff and everything else. So I guess I'll kick it off with my topic, since that's what we do here. My topic.
You kick it? Yes, you can.
My topic is pretty simple. So we all like the Batman Arkham games, right? And Sony just revealed Spider-Man as an exclusive.
Sure.
So I want to know, like, what you guys think of this Spider-Man exclusive, and what it's going to do for the gaming industry, and how it's going to affect licensed games and superhero games in general. And while you guys start the discussion, I'm getting a new headset because this headset sucks.
This is not working for you. You start, Matt.
Okay. The one thing that'll do anything for the industry, in my opinion, is if the game is good. We've had plenty of superhero games and plenty of licensed games in general that are kind of hot trash. And Insomniac has a pedigree, as they've demonstrated with Ratchet and Clank and Sunset Overdrive and a myriad of other games prior to both of those. But if the game's bad, it does absolutely nothing for the industry or for Sony for that matter. I think it'll sell because people like Spider-Man, and people like Insomniac. I mean, I'll buy it based on the fact that it's Insomniac doing it, but it all goes back to, is it good? And you know, good is a very vague thing, and it'll be defined differently by different people. But if it's not good, it doesn't do anything. Lee, what do you think?
Well, that's the thing, is it has to be good. If it's not good, I mean, if it's hot trash, like you said, you know, who's going to play it? For the industry to have a good set of games based off of comic books and superheroes and the like, you know, you got to have something like a good developer, a good creator. As you mentioned, Insomniac being, you know, with Ratchet and Clank, you know, Sunset Overdrive, Outernauts. I mean, this is a series. You know, this shows that they're a developer that can provide you with a good set of games. And I think the other thing too is their philosophy is a big deal. Even though Insomniac, you know, works for the most part solely with Sony Computer Entertainment, it's never really been a part of Sony Computer Entertainment worldwide. Therefore, they still maintain their independence from them. You know, they've partnered with Sony, but it's not like, hey, we're a part of Sony. I mean, clearly Sunset Overdrive. Take that for example. So again, it goes back to whether the game is good or not. If it's not a good game, why bother?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's a good game, absolutely, and it's just going to spur the industry to maybe say, okay, now, I mean, it seems like today a lot of the gaming industry is focusing back on zombies. I mean, that's the big thing all of a sudden again.
What makes you say that? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No kidding. So
that's
maybe
what our
this is
was last week. Our podcast was too many zombie games.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, but it could be a heck of a. I mean, they could focus on other things, and if you get a lot more, you know, big time developers, big time creators to focus on maybe, you know, providing us with other titles, other superheroes. I'd love for an Avengers type of game, aside from, like, say, the Marvel Lego series.
Right.
You know, I'd love for something just drastically different, and, you know, like you said, maybe this could spur the other developers into providing us with better content, better games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I really hope that this isn't like a start of like Marvel's version of the MCU, but for games. Like as much as I love the MCU and what they're doing, and you know, their movies have been getting better as of late, I don't want this to be like a shared universe, because I think that the games would work better as like their own individual stories, and you know, I feel like Spider-Man's a good one to start with, but like there's been so many disappointing Spider-Man games before that, you know, I just kind of feel like but you know, Insomniac's a great developer. You know, Ratchet and Clank is good, and Sunset Overdrive was pretty good. I enjoyed most of that game. You know, they really get the feel of movement throughout a large space, I feel like, and combat has always kind of been their thing. So I'm excited to see what this Spider-Man game is. I don't want it to be some sort of like MCU type start, you know, especially if different developers are going to do different games, and some games are going to be exclusive to platforms and some aren't. That was like the one thought that jumped into my head shortly after they announced that game. And I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, but I do love some of the games like Spider-Man 2. Even Spider-Man on PS1 was like one of my favorite games from that era. So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thing to touch on, just because like the MCU has so many things that they have to get right within each movie that call back to the other movies while setting other things up, and that's gonna, I feel like if they try to do that with this Spider-Man game, like they're gonna have some sort of open-ended feeling where people are gonna feel like they're not getting a complete game, and then that raises a whole nother set of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I agree with that completely. I also, as someone who's not, I don't hate comic books or the concept of comic books. I'm just not a fan of the comic book movies. And I feel I agree with you 100%. If they start doing hey, this is Marvel's gaming universe.
Yeah, that's
it's
the MGU.
Yeah, it's now capitalism itself dictates that could very well happen. But, you know, like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, they're probably too busy thinking about whether or not they could rather than asking themselves whether or not they should.
Yeah, if
so
you create a whole gaming universe on it, I mean, it'll get so convoluted. So many different things will get lost within the whole thing. And how can you really create a gaming universe? I mean, you almost have to create an MMO all over again at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the path is leading to, which we already have that. That's already available to us with the DC Universe Online, and now if Marvel tries to do something like that, I don't think I could do it. I don't think.
Oh, I just got a bad vision, just like
Yeah.
you know how you know
Marvel heroes.
But well, I don't even. Well, I don't want to be that pedantic about it, but like think about what World of Warcraft does on PC. Every so often, you get like I don't know the expansions, Lee, so please don't hate me. But like they like you had Cataclysm, and that's like a gigantic. That's almost like a second game, but it's just an add-on to the first game, right?
Right. It's basically like the expansions basically act as additions to the core game. The core game is still an RPG. It's still here's your.
Okay. Well, the only reason I'm like trying to stop you is I don't want you to explain World of Warcraft. I'm just trying to get this. I'm trying to get this concept across. Whereas, let's say Spider-Man starts this thing, and you get like a couple of cameos, and then there's another game that is.
Right.
It's basically that. And then it's an add-on to that, and then another one bridges that. And if those games were to sell well, they create something where all of the properties that have already sort of touched on each other are in one thing, and they use that as like the hub. Mm-hmm. And then instead of doing like a Cataclysm sort of reboot, it's you get like, okay, well, we'll just throw out Spider-Man, Captain America. Give me another superhero that so I don't like. Okay, Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man. They're all the first three. Then they say, okay, we're gonna call this first real big hub like Civil War. I'm just throwing that out there because that's the only title I can think of.
Yeah.
I wish Todd Oxtra were here. He'd be able to school me. And then they say, okay, so Civil War, and then then they'll release add-ons to that. But then when they do the next thing, the next big thing is for like the Cataclysm sort of revamp that World of Warcraft got. They do the Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet, or whatever that's called.
Right.
And then. Maybe they get super ambitious and they make it like Skylanders, where all the games sort of attach to all of the hubs, which would be bonkers. I'm basically just showing my hand at how much I do not know about anything by what I just said. So,
but the thing too is we already have something close to this in existence. It's Marvel Heroes. This is a PC game. It's a free-to-play MMO, and basically you can choose any character in the game, which they have a buttload of characters available for you to choose from, and you can actually level that character from 1 to like 60. So for them to create, it'd be recreating this whole thing all over again with, I don't know. I just don't think a whole gaming universe is really the way they should go.
I agree, because it just turns into a slippery slope of
it does.
Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like they're trying to tackle this, like, superhero movies aren't going away anytime soon.
No.
But I also kind of feel like their popularity has already hit this peak, and by the time this popularity comes back, it's coming down, is when this game's going to come out. Now, granted, Spider-Man, every kid in the world loves Spider-Man, right? I mean, it's not like a...
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
It's not... It's not like that this has some sort of like timer on it by any means, but I feel like Sony and Insomniac and Marvel, when they struck this deal to make this game, they're trying to ride off the coattails of Captain America: Civil War and the Marvel MCU, and Spider-Man getting his own new set of movies next year, and all these things where I don't know. I hope that they're doing it right, and which it looks like they are. But like, it always worries me when you get a property as important as Spider-Man, and how many times have they messed it up in the last decade?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Sam Raimi got it right twice out of 3, and prior to that, you had a fondly remembered cartoon show from the 60s, but it was kind of terrible. And then nobody remember. I think I might be one of the only people that remembers the live-action Spider-Man from, I think, the mid to late 70s, and that was equally terrible. I didn't see any of the newer what is it, Amazing Spider-Man?
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those, and I doubt I will. But when I used to read comic books when I was in my early to mid-teens, I liked Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my favorite. He and Daredevil are probably the two that I liked to read the most. And I thought Raimi did really good by Spider-Man in terms of Spider-Man 1 and 2. 3, not so much. And then those games didn't look good. Or at least the games that came in tandem with the Amazing Spider-Man series. None of that looked good to me.
Yeah, I do remember seeing some of the gameplay for... Oh God, what was the name of that Spider-Man series? It was just horrible looking, and I'm thinking to myself, this does not look like a fun game. And I think it was oh God, who developed it?
Beanox. They did a lot of the Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, that was. It just looked ugly. It really just looked terrible to me.
But see, there's part of Corey's topic that is kind of going overlooked. Licensed games. For a long, long, long time, there was a very low bar in licensed games, with the exception of maybe Capcom's Disney games from back in the day. I think we can all agree that some of those platformers were really, really good.
DuckTales,
Aladdin, Lion King, I liked all those. But Arkham came out. I mean, I don't think that really gets looked at in the quote-unquote licensed game space because it wasn't attached to a movie or it wasn't attached to something else other than the Batman franchise.
Right.
But Arkham City was a fantastic game that incorporated a formula that had been pretty well trodden in video games, but it did it well, and in a way it kind of moved the industry forward, because I think, you know, we wouldn't have a Shadow of Mordor without Arkham's combat. I think that's probably fair. And Shadow of Mordor won plenty of Game of the Year awards the year it came out.
Yeah, Brian's still trying to convince me to play that game.
The game's fun. The reason I had to wait a few minutes, I was playing Bloodborne with Moose, and our mutual friend Ray Osorio jumped in, and he was playing Shadow of Mordor, and I'm like, man, I kind of miss just beating up stuff in that game because it was so much fun.
It is fun.
And then we also have the South Park game, Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic licensed game that, you know, so, I mean, and, you know, the Fractured Butthole looks to be equally good. I mean, and if you're going by title alone, it is, because that title's great.
There's a couple other standouts, too, like the Transformers Cybertron games were really good.
Well, like War 4 and Fall of were good, right?
Right. Those are the ones I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any of the movie tie-in ones or anything.
Yeah, but like I just think that, you know, the bar is starting to lift, and Spider-Man may have a battle ahead of it, despite having Insomniac behind it. But Insomniac is definitely a huge help.
Yeah, and I think Disney has been smart recently about, you know, their licenses, their properties. Like EA looks like they're doing a fantastic job with handling their Star Wars stuff, even though that EA E3 press conference kind of sucked. But we did see what looked like some very
kinda.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nice.
Okay, well, you be nice. I'll be the meanie on this.
What if we make it big one day, Matt, and we need to have relationships with these people?
That's true. But then again, you know, I'm not gonna say EA's bad at their jobs. I'm not gonna say they're full of awful people like so many other people on the internet. Well, I'll just say, like, look, the press conference didn't do anything for me. I thought it sucked.
It was a terrible press conference as far as I was concerned.
You know, like IGN does that, Giant Bomb does that. They're big.
I preferred EA's conference over to PC Gamer Show. I mean, come on.
Right?
That tells you something.
Right.
So, and I'm the one who loves. I mean, I'm the
Ivory Tower himself.
I called out the PC Gaming Show for being a hot piece of trash. I gave them a resounding F.
Yeah. I'm just trying to say, like, it looks like Disney's making the right decisions, although they killed one of my favorite things of all time in Disney Infinity. I only need 4 more. I only need 4 more figures. But you know, in terms of Star Wars Battlefront, say what you will about the content or lack of content or whatever. That was it's still a mechanically sound game for like a future of a franchise.
I don't knock it for the gameplay. I knock it for the lack of things that are available to it. I mean, it's the same thing that people have said about The Division. It lacks more. I mean, and I'm sitting here going, I still love playing The Division because it's the thing about it is it features a co-op type of system where I'm going up against in a campaign style. I'm going up against the game, whereas in Battlefront it's like there's just something missing for it. Now that doesn't mean that I don't love the multiplayer PvP type of stuff. Clearly, I mean I have Overwatch. I do. It's just Battlefront wasn't where I thought it should be. I thought Battlefront should have had some type of single-player campaign at the very least, if not a co-op campaign.
Right.
So I don't knock Battlefront for... I mean, it's a mechanically sound game, and if based on mechanics alone, to me, it's a 8.5, 9 out of 10.
Word.
But
the game was fun. A game was fun to play. The game was fun to play. It really was.
Hell, I got it for Christmas, and I love playing it. But after that, I mean, there can only be so much I can do in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. I hope that second one has a campaign. They said as much, right?
They should. I think. They need to.
Yeah.
You know what really irritated me about that EA conference was when they were saying, we're going to have a Star Wars game from this developer and that developer and this developer.
And then nothing.
And it was just like, okay.
That last shot of Amy Hennig's game, of just the character walking out of the cantina, and you see all these flags, and that's it. That's all you see. And it's like,
so awful.
Yeah, and I said, why even bring it up? Why?
Why even show it?
Just as what? Just because it's show filler? Because you couldn't think of something to talk about aside from, FIFA?
Well, the thing is, I think EA's conference is unentertaining as all of us found it. It's still an example of what E3 actually is, and it's not technically for us.
Right. It's not.
It's
not for us as fans.
It's not for us as fans. It's barely for the press, because all they want the press to do is say, "Hey, this is coming." Give you a bit of a if they're probably still hanging on to the old print magazine days where you got like a couple of screenshots that looked amazing, and you had to think about that till whatever game you were really looking forward to came out. But whereas publishers like Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft have all sort of moved on to realize that gamers are super in tune with this.
Oh, absolutely.
And they try and to varying degrees of success over the years, they've tried to speak to that community while saying, "Hey, investors, this is what we've got coming." If you see their excitement, that means they're going to buy it. Where EA is just like, "Hey, we can't fit all this into an hour because we really only need 10 minutes."
Yep. You can only talk about Titanfall 2 and
which Titanfall 2 looks fun. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it looks fun. But
I feel like it's just going to be a Call of Duty campaign with robots, though, that campaign. As much as I like the first game, that
not robots.
Was awesome.
Not robots, sir. Mechs.
Sorry.
Oh,
where you could get
a lot of salt right there.
Yeah, I know.
Because a robot implies that it is controlled by electronics and circuitry, whereas a mech is controlled by humans, and that's when the game gets real.
The human controls the circuitry by utilizing a series of controls on the mech.
You see this face, Lee? You see this face? This is me not paying attention to you.
I'm sorry. It's just I'm just telling you the honest truth. Your statement was.
I want Voltron. That's all.
Have you seen the new Voltron on Netflix?
No, because I have no time.
Oh.
Well, I really don't right now. The Euros are freaking phenomenal, and I'm trying to catch up on the last season of the league and maybe sleep.
Oh, the league.
Play video games. Oh, isn't it? Isn't it?
I haven't watched the last season yet, but I love that show. It's on Netflix now, right? The last season.
Yes. I know was I watching it on Netflix or Hulu? Well, it's streaming somewhere.
Right. Oh, I love that show so much.
Me too. We should just call this Vinegar Strokes, the podcast.
Man, that's so funny. Remember when Taco sets up his own social media network, but he
has
like
he literally
has
my
like
face. That's what it is. It's my face.
Yeah, he literally has a wall where he thumbtacks pictures to the dry erase board.
Look, this is a social link.
And it's
someone puts a post-it note on a seat. Status update.
And three penis wine.
Oh, three penis wine's amazing.
Oh my god!
I think the dog and the deer do most of the work. and the horse is, for taste.
Yeah. All right, circling back around to what I was trying to say.
To this frittata rodeo.
Jeez.
I love
Is that I was trying to say that Disney, like, even though they're not doing their own thing anymore, I feel like, they're making good decisions within at least the gaming space and obviously the movie space, where I think that letting Marvel go out and seek the proper developer to make games, to make a quality game instead of just pushing out a new Spider-Man game every 9 months that's a piece of crap. I think they're doing good. I think.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic, but I'm still skeptical a little bit just based on the Spider-Man crap that's been out. But Insomniac's good. Ratchet & Clank's awesome. Sunset Overdrive was great. So, anyways, before we move on to our next topic, Lee.
Yeah.
You have a pretty box back there.
I do. It's
you
a
want to tell us what
box.
What's in the box?
You want to tell us what that's all about?
I can tell you what it's all about. As you guys know, my name is Lee Navarro. I am the maestro of the master race and the host and moderator of Nerd Overdrive, which is Phoenix Overdrive's official gaming podcast. Phoenix Overdrive is of course brought to you by, Nerd Overdrive is of course brought to you by the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. As we like to say, put your money where the miracles are. Check us out, facebook.com/Phoenix Overdrive, or check out our team page at extra-life.org/team/Phoenix Overdrive 16. This box back here, as you can see, this is our raffle for the year 2016. What we have right here is the PlayStation 4 Uncharted The Nathan Drake Collection bundle, which includes a 500 gigabyte PlayStation 4, one DualShock 4 controller, and Uncharted The Nathan Drake Collection featuring Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. Check it out at extra-life.org/participant/PS4 bundle 16. $2, that gets you a ticket for this guy right here, which we will be drawing for it on November 5th, 2016. That's National Game Day for us.
I'll be there.
You two will be there.
Me too. Yeah.
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 And yeah.
I also heard a rumor about some three-eyed raven, but we could talk about that another time.
There's definitely a three-eyed raven ready for you. But yeah, check out the website. Donate. When you do donate, please include your name and your email address, because we need those in order to consider you for the raffle. If we don't have any of it, thank you for the donation, but unfortunately we won't be able to include you, obviously. So please do that.
Yeah, and I'll include the links at the bottom of the video. So
sounds good.
Yeah. Well, Lee, since you're already talking,
what's
your topic?
I'm already talking. My topic.
That's Corey speak for we need to shut me up.
Yeah. My topic. I just coming off of E3 actually is one thing that I really still sticking with me is the new consoles that are coming out, the new iteration of these consoles, and B, Microsoft's push to kind of unify PC gaming and console gaming into a singular space with their Play Anywhere, and how it's going to affect how they potentially might do business with third-party developers. Here's to looking at you, Bungie, with potentially Destiny, which Bungie themselves actually mentioned that Destiny for PC is not out of the realm of impossibility, and they're actually looking into it coming up within the next year or so. I don't know. So I guess my thoughts on wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the new iterations of these consoles and what Microsoft is planning on doing, and how Sony is how they're going to try to respond to it, because this is always going to be that Microsoft versus Sony type of discussion.
Yeah, it's weird because like Xbox and PlayStation are kind of in the same spot, right? They're both coming out with these new iterative consoles on the current generation of consoles, and like during E3, Xbox like announced the Slim console, and I got excited. And then they announced Project Scorpio, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting. I'm kind of excited for that." But then Sony didn't say anything, but we still know that console is coming.
And we know that console's coming soon.
Right. And then after E3, I sat down and thought about it. I'm like, huh, how do I feel one way about Microsoft and the complete opposite about PlayStation when it's the exact same situation?
Exactly.
And it's all about the wording and how Phil Spencer and like his delivery. Like Phil Spencer's just a cool guy. I could listen to Phil Spencer talk all day, and I'm not even like the biggest Xbox fan. You know, I like a couple titles. I like Gears of War. You know, I love Gears of War, and I like Halo enough and stuff like that. But I could listen to that guy talk about games all day. But man, I don't know. These iterative consoles, like I'm really worried about iterative consoles, and I'm worried like that Microsoft is. I know they say it doesn't matter because the software is where they're going to make their money, and a sale is a sale, and where you play it, as long as it's in the Xbox ecosystem, it's not going to matter to them.
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to matter because they're producing a $400 box alongside a PC that they're not really making money off of. You know, they're making money off of Windows 10, but they gave it away for free for a year. You know, so I kind of feel like Microsoft's shooting themselves in the foot by giving you Gears of War 4, the option to play Gears of War 4 on PC and Xbox. It's strange. I'm more intrigued in watching this unfold than anything because, you know, I have this lovely computer in front of me that plays all kinds of great games, and allows me to do all kinds of streaming and all this technology. That's why we're using the best in live chat and Google Hangouts for this video. But
tell us how you really feel.
As I'm watching your video feed, you're like stuttering and.
I know. Don't remind me. I actually went out and bought a camera to use for me and Brian to use on Wednesday because of the terrible video quality of the last video podcast.
Well done, sir. Well done.
I mean, it's not even anything special. It's just a Canon Handycam, like a traditional camcorder, with a 32 gig SD card in it. But, dude, I could snap pictures with a Polaroid camera and tape them all together, scan them into the computer, and make a better video than what this stupid computer can do.
Yep.
It's terrible. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I'm more intrigued in seeing how the events of Xbox incorporating the Xbox brand into PC gaming, and seeing how Windows 10 is going to, battle Steam and Origin for a third spot in this gaming race. That, everybody is so into Steam unless you play EA games and then you go to Origin. That's kind of my thing right now. I'm just want to watch this unfold because, like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get a Slim when it comes out. I need more space. It's a prettier box. This box is whatever. I'm gonna get a Slim. I think I'm gonna go all digital on Xbox anyway, just for Lee, you're building me that PC. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna end up streaming stuff. So using a PC interface, I think, will allow me to do that easier. But I don't know, man. I think Xbox shooting themselves in the foot, and PlayStation, I think, is shooting themselves in the foot too, because they have this box that is everybody seems to love, and they're just going to make a better one. I don't know. It's interesting time to be a console gamer for sure, because we don't really experience things like this very much.
Well, not to also ignore, I guess, the other guy in the room, but Nintendo with the NX so many rumors swirling about it, with it potentially working with PCs or something to that effect. So, I mean, you have so many different options available now as far as these new top of the line consoles. I mean, Matt, what do you think?
Well, as somebody, I've shown my hand in conversations with you and Becky and Ray several times, saying, I think a Steam box is for a person like me.
Yeah.
Not because I want to run Total War Attila, so the resolution will make my eyes melt. I'm not looking for the absolute graphic pinnacle or anything like that.
I don't really want my eyes to melt either.
You kind of need them. It's weird. I'd use a Steam box to play the games that just don't show up on PlayStation. And I say PlayStation because I don't own an Xbox yet. In fact, the Slim at $2.99, kind of enticing. I might go that way. Mainly because, and that's just because I've been out of the PC gaming loop for about 16 years now that I can remember. I mean, I probably played games in like 2002 and 2003, but like the last PC game that I needed in my life was Diablo 2. And when Diablo 3 came out, I'm like, man, I'm probably going to have to buy a PC just so I can play Diablo 3. And then they announced it for consoles. I'm like, sweet, don't have to do that. And then it was good.
I think the last PC games I bought were Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, Age of Empires. They made a Star Wars version of it.
Oh, yeah.
And StarCraft, Brood War, I think were the last 3 PC games I bought. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think I just played Diablo 2 a lot longer than I played Warcraft 3. Because I think I got those. Those were right about the same time, weren't they, Lee?
It's right about the same time, yeah.
Yeah, because Warcraft 3 was great. In fact, you know what? I'll be honest with you. If I were to get a PC, the first game I would buy would be Warcraft 3 because
Warcraft 3 was around.
Warcraft 3 was amazing.
I think 2002. I want to say it was like 2002, 2000.
Okay.
And I think Diablo 2 came out just a little bit before that. It was like maybe 2 years before.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 99 or 2000, something like that.
Yeah, and
Diablo 2 came out.
So, and I look at games nowadays like Dota and League of Legends, and while I'm fascinated by the communities and esports around those things, I don't really see myself playing them to any degree.
Oh, absolutely, because they're the types of games that you need to dedicate so much effort and overall just time to.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you go into a game that you're just like that you'd be mediocre at, and then what? You're not going to have any fun with it.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too. Is like a lot of these big time esports events a lot of them are centered on the PC space as far as League of Legends, Dota. Now Overwatch is taken over in Korea as their next big esports thing. StarCraft 2, it's still pretty big. And
StarCraft 2 is huge.
And they're big money makers. They're the ones that draw in quite a lot of spectators, participants, things of that nature. So.
Well, and I also respect that PC is probably going to be the place where esports takes the biggest hold, because and you can correct me on this one, Lee, but like isn't specs an issue for that, where they can they could probably just sort of codify a sports league, an esports league could probably codify a certain system specs, so
yeah, they can generalize, like they can have each computer be the same type of same type of build.
Yeah.
So there's no hardware advantage for one player or another.
Exactly, and I don't think you could do that on a console.
Yeah.
Because consoles, if you're playing with somebody online on a console, the only thing sort of at you're the only thing you're at the mercy of is each other's internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now the 4K systems, I'm just going to call them what they are because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They're either 4K. It's 4K resolution because that's going to be what brings everybody in. It was like how the 360 and the PS3 were the intro to high def gaming, which, you know, sure it made a little bit of a graphical difference, but if the games aren't fun, the games aren't fun. It doesn't matter how pretty they look. Plain and simple. Also, I think these new consoles are coming out because of VR.
Yep.
I think PSVR will probably work better on the Neo than it will on a PS4.
Will it though? Because it comes with
I don't know.
It comes with its own processing box, doesn't it?
I see, and I don't know. I don't know. That's why I said I think.
That's the other thing too, is that processing box. Okay, based off of just my very basic knowledge on like how technology works. So here's your VR, here's your PS VR. You're asking it to connect to a secondary box that processes the graphics that's coming out of your primary box. So there's still this whole line that it has to go through. Whereas
latency.
Yeah, latency is going to be an issue. Whereas if it's the Neo, I'm figuring the PSVR can detach from that box, connect directly into the PlayStation Neo.
Cut down the latency.
And cut down the latency. The Neo is going to be the one doing all the work. You won't need that secondary box. That's where it all lies in. I mean, a lot of people last year when they found out what the requirements are for Oculus Rift complained about it, and I'm sitting here going, "Well,
it's VR.
It's VR.
I mean, come on.
It's gonna need all the horses that it can get from your PC, which." Sorry to say, your 3-year-old, 4-year-old video card isn't going to cut it.
Well, let's be real. I think those people sounded a lot like somebody who walked into a Best Buy and said, how come I can't have an IMAX experience in my living room?
Yeah.
And then the Best Buy guy's probably like, well, your living room isn't big enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Start there.
Oh, man.
That's it right there.
I guess, man, I don't know, because it's like, that's all these boxes are going to do is run VR better, and like, you know, Scorpio's probably going to have 4K output. Like, is it really worth that? Like, because these boxes aren't going to be a $400 box like these consoles were when they came out. These are going to be like, probably, I don't know, $600, $700 boxes?
The easiest thing to do, and I'm not trying to offend, but the easiest thing to do when things like this happen is complain. We also have to remember we don't know the full story. We won't know the full story till they are on shelves. And you know, Phil Spencer was at E3 saying, "Well, there's really no point to having an Xbox One that's not 4K." He's saying that because he has investors that are watching him. That's easily, I mean, and that's probably just a low-hanging fruit type of statement as well. But you have to remember, so far the company line for Xbox and Microsoft is all games will work on all systems. You don't have to have a Neo to play exclusive games. You don't have to have a Scorpio to play exclusive games. VR is a different beast, because I highly doubt if I wanted to really play a VR game, I couldn't do that without a VR headset. I mean, that's kind of why it's called VR.
That's not true. Just slide your phone into your face.
Yeah. Put your phone in a cardboard box made by Google, and there's your VR.
Look at Matt's face right now.
I'm a lot of things. Stupid is one of them. I will give you this. I'm not that stupid. I mean, yeah, because that I mean, again, sounds like a dumpster fire, but you have to remember the messaging on these things is terrible at best, and once they want to reveal everything, they'll reveal everything, and that's when you either go or thumbs up. Now, Lee mentioned Nintendo. The only thing you could probably guess at Nintendo is that they're probably going to put out something that is less powerful than everybody else.
Uh-huh.
Fine, if that's your thing.
They already put out a less powerful VR device. It's called Virtual Boy. You can find one right now. I'm looking at it on Amazon.
Well, why would you do that? This sounds like a terrible idea.
I already have one, so it doesn't matter.
Again, why are you looking for another one? Sounds like a terrible idea. I'm pretty sure Sana doesn't want to co-op Virtual Boy games with you.
Virtual Boy Star Fox is the best. It wasn't really Star Fox, so that's what it looked like.
You are full of something.
Fun fact: the first Mario Tennis game was on Virtual Boy.
Yeah, I knew that, and it was terrible.
He's full of hope for Nintendo. That's what he is.
Well, I am too, Lee. I am too.
Did you see Zelda?
I mean,
I did see Zelda, but that's one. Is that what's going to carry them?
No, I can name a ton of Wii U games.
But see, that one is what Microsoft and PlayStation don't.
It's true.
Yeah, they don't.
Hashtag deal with it.
They have a broken version of Skyrim and Fallout.
Yeah. Yeah, remember that? No.
I don't.
Although in Fallout 4, I did not experience any of the bugs that anybody talked about.
I did. I walked in a building and I couldn't walk back out, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. Wouldn't let me open the door to get out of a building.
Did you go out the same door you came in?
Yeah.
Why'd you shut the door?
I don't know. I assumed that a game.
I think you were going out a different door.
Big of a
you have to physically shut those doors every time you open them.
I thought I played Fallout New Vegas, which is like the only Bethesda game I've really sunk any time into. Like I don't like.
Good choice.
I don't like the Elder Scrolls games. I didn't play Fallout 3.
Okay.
I liked Fallout New Vegas because everybody had a hard-on for Fallout when that game came out. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a try, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. I mean, it had a ton of bugs, and it was like, okay, whatever. But I got Fallout 4, and I played it for an hour, and I walked in a building, and one of the coolest things you can do in Fallout is you can actually close the doors that you walk into. They're not just open, or it's not just a loading screen. When you open the door, I shut the door. I walked around this building, went to go back out the door, couldn't get out.
See, I never shut doors in those games because I always want someplace to run, just in case.
I never had any problems with Fallout 4, so.
Says the man in an ivory tower.
I mean, everything I do is a problem. So I mean,
it ran perfectly on mine. I mean, my rig.
I don't think everything you do is a problem, Corey.
Trying to record video is an awfully big problem.
Let's.
It gets to the best of us. It happened to us on our last show.
What happened?
My mic ended up turning into... Corey, remember the other night my voice turned into like this Mr. Roboto voice?
Yeah.
Same thing happened in the middle of our show as we were recording. And
awesome.
I couldn't get it to correct, so I actually dialed in using my iPad to our show. So that way I could... Because we were doing it live, I'm like, I can't just stop this live. So right. I dialed in through my iPad, set it through there, I'm going, all right, cool, this is going to work. And then for
Lee became Bill O'Reilly. Screw it, we'll do it live.
And for a hot second, it was all of a sudden because I left the meeting on my desktop, And I'm like, crap, I can't do that because it stops recording and streaming it. So I had to like dial back in, shut off my mic, shut off my webcam, use the iPad to do everything, but I was still having XSplit recording everything. Of course, I couldn't hear anything from my machine because everything was coming through the iPad. So during one of our ads, I turned on the music, totally forgot about it. So the music was still going on while we were having like our nerd talk or whatever. So
awesome.
thank God. So somebody on our Twitch chat was like, "Your ad music's still going." I'm like, "Ah, darn it."
See, I mean, it was probably one of those things where you were just like, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I still haven't released the audio.
Let's have this nerd talk. I love that ad music, by the way. I really do.
I still haven't released the audio because I'm like, this is going to be terrible. But you know what? I'm just going to suck it up and just release it.
I released bad audio before.
Look, man, warts and all. Warts and all.
The episode where we tried to do it live for the first time, and the part on my microphone, I forgot to bring it to where we used to record the show, and so everybody sounded like they were really far away using this really crappy microphone on this MacBook.
Well, the thing is, I was watching that show, too, when you guys went live. I'm like, oh, this should be fun. And I could barely hear you. I'm like, I sent you a message on Twitch. Can't hear you guys. And you're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Deal with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Novice podcast recording stories. They're so good.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So good.
It's the best.
I got one for you. I went to just outside Atlantic City, New Jersey, to meet a community member. He and I were going to do some beer tasting, and get there. His name is Rob Rinaldi. Friggin' lovely individual, like one of the most polite people you will ever meet, bar none. And I brought a couple of microphones. I said, "Hey, Rob, would you like to be on our podcast?" He's like, "Yeah, that'd be fantastic." Well, then we decided to try something, and we recorded 2 mics in the same room for a completely different thing that we were just gonna, and all you heard was just echo, and it was bad, and we went for like 4 hours, and I feel bad because it's been about a year since that happened, and it's just completely unfixable, and but it was Rob, Paul Linga, and myself. We started off talking about just beers and breweries we like. And then we talked about video games for a little bit, and we talked about some other stuff. And we were going to actually append part of that to the Platinum Achievement podcast, which I do. And it was just horrendous. And then I'm like, you know what? I think I know what we did wrong, Rob. He's like, what? We recorded with 2 mics in the same room. He's like, is that a problem? I'm like, yeah. Because both mics are picking up my voice. Both mics are picking up your voice. The only person who sounded normal was Paul, who was on Skype. Yeah. And when Skype sounds normal, you know what you're doing wrong.
See, every time the whole Nerd Overdrive crew comes over for DNA show via Skype, there's always a problem with that. Someone always drops out. Like, the last time we were on there, Joey ended up losing his connection on Skype. He was still connected to the internet. Skype was being a pain in the butt. And then prior to that...
yeah, we lost like 20 minutes of that show because Joey was the one recording it. And I felt... it was the one where, like, it was me, Joey, and the whole Nerd Overdrive crew. And it was the part we lost was the part that you jumped into the show for like 10 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, you called in.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It was me? Oh, I ruined it! I ruined it! Yes! I've earned the name now. It's not just some joke. I actually did it.
It was so funny
because yes.
when Joey came back in and like had everything still set up that way, like all of our pictures were off because Matt had called in. He's like, dude, when you have a 6th person come in, you gotta tell me. I'm like, you gotta tell me when you're losing connection, bro.
That's what happened too at the start of our this past one that we had, because for some reason I switched from one scene to the next scene, and it had 3 Rays on screen instead of me and Becky. So there's 3 Rays, and I already started.
He's just looking at you and going, "Hey,
you guys need to watch the video because it's hilarious." Because I started my intro and I'm going, "This is Nerd Overdrive, brought to you, blah blah blah," and I'm trying to like fix the whole thing.
This is Nerd Osorio.
It was hilarious. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it up there. It is what it is. It's gonna.
You should.
I am. It's one of the crappier ones that we've done, but hey, it is what it is.
Man, good times.
I mean,
that's why I can't wait for you for this PC Wii, so I could just like, I want like a nice little picture of me here, and then I bought a 50-foot Ethernet cord so I could drag it through the hallway into the bedroom where the router is. Like, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great.
You should have an office area just like mine, just to do this with.
I mean, I will when we like.
I think your office is as big as my apartment, Lee.
It's a pretty hefty spot.
You could stretch out.
I mean, I got a decent size, like the spare bedroom in our apartment is where I have all of our stuff, like the game room and stuff.
Here, I'm going to take this box down. The mere fact that I've got enough room to actually have a streaming box right behind me, aside from my desktop, that tells me about my space here.
Yeah, I think I have enough space in here to do that, Lee. It's just that, like, I have my nice TV in here also, and 2 bookcases full of games and movies, and like, this is where I keep my desk and like all. The other half of my basement is supposed to be like the workout. I mean, that's got our treadmill and like exercising stuff and whatever. And your Warcraft special editions. My Warcraft special editions are right over here. They're right over there. There you go. There it is, right there. Man. And that is a huge collector's edition for Overwatch. You see that in the bottom? Yeah. Jeez. That is the collector's edition. I still got to unbox it fully. Antonio's like, I need an unboxing. I'm like, all right, just give me a week or so.
Lee, bro.
Oh, man.
Bro. Lee, bro. Want to play some Overwatch, bro? God, that was hilarious. Y'all got any more of that Overwatch? So
what was the topic?
So I think it's my topic now, or
yeah, it's your topic. Go for it.
Okay. I'm gonna make this pretty easy. Pick what are some games that, for all intents and purposes, you should like, but don't, or the opposite. For all intents and purposes, you shouldn't like, but do. And why do you think that is?
Fallout and Skyrim.
Okay, well, all right. So now, why do you think you should like them? Because everybody else does?
No.
Okay, good.
I like those types of games. I love, like, not that they're the exact same game, but I love The Witcher. You know, I love that series. I love Zelda, and I love everything that's coming in the new Zelda. You know, I like big, expansive open-world games that kind of allow you to do whatever you want, and I like RPGs. I like leveling up my characters, which is why I'm playing Dark Souls 3 right now, which is freaking hard but freaking amazing.
Why are we not co-oping Dark Souls 3, number 1?
I don't know, because I suck at it, and I'm like...
That's okay. That's why I'm here.
I'm so bad at it, dude.
I'm literally 2 trophies away from the platinum. I'll help you.
But, like, I like the idea of that game. It's just that, like, every time I go to play one of those games, like, something happens, or I'm just not... I don't know if I'm just, like, when I play them and just in the wrong mindset, I'm in the wrong mood to play those games, or, like, I really don't know why. Like, I can't wait to start the Phantom Pain. I just got that the other day. You know, these open world experiences where you can kind of do what you want, however you want. And, like, yeah, I know there's some structures to, like, The Witcher and Metal Gear and stuff. But there's also a little bit of structure to Skyrim and Fallout. I don't know why I don't like those games. And like I love Bethesda. I love everything they do except for those games too. Like I love Dishonored. I love Doom. I loved Evil Within. The new Prey looks cool. I don't know why I don't like Skyrim or Fallout.
Okay.
And like I played New Vegas and I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite games of all time or anything. And I liked it enough, but then like Brian was like, well, a lot of people are either Fallout people or Skyrim people. Like there's a lot of people that like one and don't like the other. So
Very
he said, when Skyrim came out, I ended up getting it, and like I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I don't know why. I just couldn't.
Okay. Any others for you, Corey, or just those two really?
I mean, those are the ones that really, really stick out. There's probably a couple more that I'm going to think about here in the next couple minutes, but like, I don't know. Like, usually if there's a genre I like most games in that genre.
Okay.
But for some reason, those two games are the ones that stick out.
Maestro?
I want to get a lot of flack for this.
I'm kicking you out if you say Zelda.
No, absolutely no. I love Zelda. It's JRPGs. I should like them. I don't.
Okay, why should you like them?
I feel like...
Don't say because you're Asian, because if you do that, I'm going to be like,
no.
You are crutching at that point.
No. I think it's because they have a terrific way of telling a story. There's such a tremendous narrative to many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the character development, it really just... there's a lot of it in these games. I just can't get behind them. I don't know what it is about them.
Yeah.
There's really only one that I really enjoyed, and everybody knows this, and that's Final Fantasy VII. And I don't know why.
I don't either.
I can't help you there either.
I mean, it's just I just don't know why I like that so much, yet I just can't get behind all the other ones.
It is well documented how much I dislike Final Fantasy VII.
So, I don't know. I guess maybe I should just give it a try, but at the same token, like, at this stage in my adult life, gaming is gonna be very sparse. Recently I got maybe 2 hours of total game time, 3 hours of total game time, and that's spent with doing NBA 2K with Becky. So that was the most that we did.
You played NBA 2K with Becky?
Yeah.
Were you playing against each other?
Oh yeah.
Why weren't you streaming that?
It got ugly.
Awesome. Exactly.
That's why you streamed.
She was not happy. She was not happy with the end. I mean, okay, first of all, obviously, I've been playing sports games for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
You know, since NBA Jam days. So
yeah.
I know.
Only NBA Jam? No double
NBA
dribble?
Jam, double dribble.
Okay.
No Joe Montana football 94.
Yeah, Corey.
Yeah. Tecmo.
Yeah.
My first
Bo Jackson for the win, right? Right.
My first NHL game was NHL 94.
Was it what now? Now, are you talking about NHL games or hockey games? Because if you played either, were you a hockey on Nintendo person or a Blades of Steel on Nintendo person?
I was hockey on Nintendo person because
you can exit the argument now.
Boy.
Just kidding.
That was my first
Wayne
exposure
Gretzky's
to
3D
it.
hockey.
That was my first exposure to hockey. Was NHL 94 on Super Nintendo, and then I got 95 the year after. But she was just it was hilarious because this is the first sports game that she really enjoys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she legitimately, and if you watch our recent episode, she actually said she really does enjoy this game, and her mission is to learn it to the point where she can beat me. Now,
Right.
I'm not at all the best at it. Like, I really am not. I mean, 100 other people could probably wipe the floor with me easily. Out of the next 100 people that comes to play that game. So I'm not saying I'm great, but she's determined to beat me, and she was close because she made me. All right. So I put together a custom team with a custom created player, who was basically similar to LeBron James,
Right.
statistically, with Steph Curry's shot.
Right.
And so I played that. I played my team, and then she was playing it and everything. I massacred her.
Right.
It was bad.
So because you
so
stacked the odds in your
Yeah,
favor.
I stacked the odds. So whatever. That's a fair point. So she made me choose a random team. I said fine. So I did the random team. I ended up with the Raptors. She ended up with the Rockets. So I had Kyle Lowry.
Oh boy, what a
so
mess.
Kyle Lowry decided to go 9 for 12 from 3.
Right.
So, and DeMar
Standard.
DeRozan was DeMar DeRozan. Anytime he drove through the lane, slam dunk or a layup. So I was like, I'm sorry, but you know what? She's getting good at it. She's getting really. It's a lot of fun. We've been enjoying it. So for her, if she ever answered this question, it would be this game, as far as something that she is enjoying, but she rationally should not, because it's a sports game. She's not big into those games. But again, like I said, just JRPGs in general, I just don't know why. Something about them just doesn't. It just doesn't mesh well for me.
Yeah, I used to play JRPGs all the time, like PS2 era, even PS1. Like I got a PS1 real late and ended up getting Final Fantasy 8 and 9, and I love those games. And then it moved on to 10 and 12, and then the PS2 RPGs were just great. But then when the 360 PS3 era came along, like I kind of stopped for some reason, and ever since then, like besides Persona 4 Golden on Vita, the last great JRPG I think I played was Lost Odyssey on Xbox 360. And I've been wanting to like find a game that I could dive into, and like all the JRPGs that I've bought for PS3 and PS4 are remakes, like Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD, Kingdom Hearts, Tales of Exilia. That's not a remake, but I love the Tales games, so I just go and buy every one. But I haven't even opened. I have Tales of Exilia and Tales of Exilia 2 Collector's Edition still sealed, sitting over here on my shelf, because
Me too.
I'm just like, I love those games, but I don't have the time to sit down and start them. And what time I do have, I try to spend with, you guys or other people, trying to play games with them, and it's a multiplayer experience, to the point where like I don't have hardly any time for single player gaming experiences anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
In
Yeah.
general.
It's difficult.
Yeah. So that's a genre I used to love and have fallen out of love with for some reason, and I wish I still had that love I used to.
Well, have you fallen out of love with it, or just have circumstances changed?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
With the the way action RPGs have been introduced into gaming the last couple generations, how they're more, there's more of them. I think I like the action, like Dark Souls, for example. It's a great series, but it's an action RPG, very heavy on the action, and it's just like, I think I would rather play something like that now than a turn-based JRPG, which is sad, because like I love Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 looks great, and Final Fantasy 15 I still think looks good, and the remake of Final Fantasy 12 is coming, and I'm like ecstatic for that. I just I don't know. I think I prefer the action RPGs just for, like, I guess the instant gratification that you get when you do damage, and like you can dodge out of the way. You have more control. I don't know. And it's sad because I used to love the JRPG genre.
Yeah. Any other genres or styles of games that you should like but don't, Lee?
Don't hate me for this, Matt. I Dark Souls.
Okay, that's fine. It's not for everybody. It's just not.
And you know what? To be honest, I would. Here's the thing. I would like to try Bloodborne. I haven't had a chance. I don't have Bloodborne. I do have to buy it. So, the minute that I do get it, I will be hitting you up right off the bat.
Okay, well, here's what you have to do. Here's what you have to do in order to do that. You have to beat the first boss. That's all you have to do, and then we can co-op the rest of the way if you want.
Sounds good.
I'm doing it with Moose right now. We're having a ball.
I've heard so many good things about it. I really think I could get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried the other Dark Souls before, and I don't know. It just never really clicked.
Well, now, did you try 2, or did you try 1?
I tried 1.
Okay.
It just didn't click.
It's like I'm not trying to persuade at all, but like when I first tried, like Demon Souls was the first in the series that I tried, and you know it got to a point where I felt like I was doing a lot but not accomplishing anything.
Right.
But I've eventually something clicked because instead of going down one doorway, I went another and found a boss, and then something happened in the story, and I'm like, oh, okay, so something just happened. So that was sort of the reward loop that said, oh, I need to keep doing that. And then, you know, I just kept working my way that way. And then I ended up beating and platinuming Dark Souls first before I actually platinumed Demon Souls. And neither of those games give you much. They do not give the player very much information at all.
Right.
Bloodborne specifically is a bit more explicit in its delivery of information.
Okay.
And there's a certain ease because class is kind of a moot point in Bloodborne. Like, you don't have to, like, in a weird way, Bloodborne is more of a true RPG in terms of the player, because you can pick what stats you put everything in, and it doesn't really affect anything except your playstyle. Whereas if you pick a pyromancer or a sorcerer or a knight in the quote unquote Souls games, you're kind of married to that class, and you kind of have to level up that way, because if you're going to try and rebalance your character, it's going to take you forever, and you'll probably just mess up the build in the process, because it sets up a certain balance. It's very, like, Dark Souls is very AD&D in its leveling up system.
Right.
But yeah, no, I can understand how those games are just so opaque when you're coming into them and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And because we're all adults here, except maybe me, because I'm a gigantic child.
That baby face doesn't do much for, that whole adult.
I got when I went and bought Dark Souls 3, I got ID'd.
Did you really?
Yes, I got ID'd.
Not gonna lie, I did get ID'd when I bought Black Ops.
I'm like, well, see, the funny thing is, it's a GameStop that I go to all the time. They know me. Still, they ask for the ID, and I'm like, it's a guy. I'm like, are you messing with me? He's like, no, I want to see your ID. I'm like, I've been coming here for years. He's like, do you really think I'm not 18? He's like, well, and I'm like, all right, fair point. And handed him my ID, but yeah. So other than the Souls series, Lee, to get it back, anything else? JRPGs, Souls series. So do you hate Japan?
Maybe.
I just thought of a couple more.
Okay, what do you got, Corey?
I am Filipino. I mean, you didn't invade us, so.
Oh boy. I did not want. We're not doing this history lesson, Lee.
Oh boy, that's another topic for another time.
Nerds gone history. Yeah.
Oh boy. But I wanted to a series that I always wanted to get into too was Dragon Age, because I love Mass Effect so much and I love BioWare so much that Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, I was just like, why do I not like this game? Why do I not like this game?
Isn't Dragon Age Origins the... Oh, no, that's Inquisition. My bad.
Inquisition was, yeah.
The third one.
I was going to say the third one.
But then, I wanted to give it another try because Brian was playing Inquisition last week. And I was just like, I'm thinking about getting Dragon Age Inquisition and just trying it out. Because he told me it was more like Mass Effect than the other two. But I was just like, I don't know why I don't like those games either. I'm starting to think I just don't really like high fantasy unless it's The Witcher or Zelda.
Well, the Zelda's not really high fantasy either.
It's got elves.
It's... That's basically the video game equivalent of me saying, Japanese and Filipinos really aren't that different.
Well,
jeez.
One's brown, one's white, but...
Well, and there's also a cultural landscape and historical differences between both
and an ocean
ethnicities. Well, no, they're in the same ocean.
Yeah, but there's water in between Japan.
Okay, I want to distance myself from everything Lee's saying right now.
I'm just.
I mean, well, actually, you know what? No, I don't, because I think you make fun of yourself the way I make fun of white people.
Absolutely, I'm self-deprecating when it comes to being.
And with me, no race offends me like my own.
I tell Becky all the time the reason. I mean, she's like, "Oh, why? The white girl is the epitome for my culture."
Is it?
Yeah.
Boy, you guys are selling yourself short. White girls are cray.
Southeast Asians, I'm like, oh, white girl, that's it. That's got this.
So you meet? Is any of your family back in the Philippines, Lee?
Oh yeah, I still got a lot.
So they come over here and they're like, oh, you married a white girl. You're at the top of the mountain, bro.
Pretty much.
Getting high fives.
You're in that ivory tower. Yeah.
Fist bump.
I still think Lee's a white guy hiding in an Asian body.
Dude, all right. Let me tell you this. I hope this is appropriate, or this is okay. But one of the biggest jokes one of the jokes I like to say is that I'm a Twinkie, yellow on the outside, white on the inside. So
that's an Asian ass joke. Now, okay. So I guess it's my turn now, right?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay, so I'm gonna ignite some hate. I cannot stand Final Fantasy. Cannot. Not any. I've tried. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. I've played the one that was on the NES as the first one, and the one that was on the SNES, I think it was the third. And then I actually went back and played the first one on iPad years ago now. But my explanation for that is because I got into A, Dragon Warrior on the NES, and B, the Tales series when I first got Tales of Fantasia, because I played Tales of Fantasia and Dragon Warrior 1 through 4, I guess, on the NES or Super NES. I'm old and I'm losing my memory. I don't remember the timeline, but I played Tales of Fantasia before I had ever touched a Final Fantasy game. And as much as I was enamored by the art style of JRPGs, because I still, and like that, and like anime in general, I think it's beautiful to look at.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I can sit down and watch any of it, because sometimes I'm, I look at this, I'm like, the story is so bonkers that I don't have enough breadcrumbs to get home. But because I played Tales of Phantasia first and got super invested in that, I think that just sort of, when I got to Final Fantasy, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. And I beat every Final Fantasy that I've played, and I was like, okay, so it's basically life is on an infinite loop, and you're always saving the world from something that has already happened, but because time in this universe is basically a broken record, it's just all repeating. I don't care. Next on the docket is Uncharted. I've
You are just breaking Ray Osorio's heart.
No, well, Ray and I, well, see,
I'm with you there.
Ray and I have had this conversation, and my co-host Chris Haar just runs at me for hating Uncharted. He's like, "What? You don't like Indiana Jones, bro?" Corey knows I like Indiana Jones. Freaking love Indiana Jones. But see, Indiana Jones is smart, intelligent, cool, and he doesn't need to rely on shooting everything that walks in his path. And I think he uses his wits better than Nathan Drake does. Now, I've not played an Uncharted game to completion. Maybe I should. Maybe that's my short-sighted problem here. But I started with Uncharted 2. And I got through, I think, maybe 1.5 chapters. I was like, you know what? I don't care about anything this idiot is doing. He wakes up on a train that's hanging off a mountain. Yeah, great in spectacle, but what does it all mean? Mm-hmm. And to me, it didn't mean a damn thing. And then I know Ray and I probably haven't had the Final Fantasy talk, but that's whatever. But he and I've we've had our heart to heart on Uncharted, and it's we both recognize that I'm probably the problem there too.
Well,
so
I don't think so.
No, you're not.
You're not alone. I've got the Nathan Drake collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's rough. It really is.
It's a rough start, and I'm really going to try to give it my due diligence. Like, I'm not just going to drop it. I'm still legitimately trying. Mm-hmm. And when I do try, I give it 30, 45 minutes, and then I just can't.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's you. I think it takes a certain amount. It takes a certain persona to really get into it and get behind the character of Nathan Drake, mm-hmm. and to enjoy it for what it is. I'm not there yet. I don't think I personally, do I think I'll get there? Maybe not. But because out of respect for Ray's affinity for this series, I'm still giving it a go.
And when he talks about anything he likes, I'm like, man, I wish I liked that, because I want to know. I want to know what makes him feel that happy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for me in Uncharted, it's like, it's the Iron Man thing, where like I like Iron Man like in the movies as a character, and I think he's a cool character, which I compare him to Nathan Drake. I don't like the situations they put me in after that first like couple hours or whatever. Like, I like Drake as a character. He's fine. I think like an Indiana Jones style of game would really work, but everybody always compares this to Indiana Jones, where it's not really like you said, Matt. He's shooting everybody. Like, remember that IGN video where they actually counted how many people he killed in one game? Like, it was ridiculous. But like, I don't know. I'm struggling to play through Uncharted 4. Like, I'm really struggling to play through it, and it sucks because like I want to like that game so bad because I love Indiana Jones just as much as you do, and this is basically that. And the whole time,
we both agree on the best one, Corey. We both agree on the best one.
Oh, I know. Last Crusade's the best one.
Yeah, it's hands down. Hands down.
It's in my diary.
Exactly.
But like,
Junior.
We must go to Berlin. My diary is in Berlin.
It's so
but
good.
like,
All of a sudden, I'm reminiscing in my head about the Jeopardy skits with Sean Connery.
Oh,
I'll take the rapist for 400.
yes.
Take that, Trebek.
Sucker
The
Trebek.
final Jeopardy question is, where are we now? Sean Connery, indoors. Wow, that actually worked. What was your bet? I hot poops. I did that at one of my my senior class for my Spanish class for my senior year for the last day. So we had our whiteboard. I did indoors, and then I like covered it with a piece of paper. When the teacher ripped it off, it said, "I heart boobs." Yep, one of my finer moments.
Oh,
well, you want when I got one for you. When I was in X-ray school, we learned about certain pathologies that sometimes you can see on X-ray, but a lot of times you have to be able to see it visually on a patient. Yep. We learned about a pathology called jaundice, which is where
the yellow pigmentation.
Yeah, you get a yellow pigmentation because you're not getting rid of bile.
Yep.
Anyway, I live in Philadelphia, and parlance in Philadelphia is to use the word Jawn, Jawn, and it literally means anything and everything. So I'm going to pick up this John right here, or this John right here, or these Johns right here. Now, in our presentation about pathology, just because we had to do in our pathology class, you had to do group presentations. We decided, since we had jaundice in ours, we did that first. We did like 3 others left, and I said, I found something else that's only predominant in Philadelphia, and I had a PowerPoint, and it said jaundice, JAWN -DICE, and I basically said, it's a pathology that only affects Philadelphians. It slurs their speech, and they don't really know the definition of what things actually are. Cannot be seen radiographically, but clinical indications point towards MRI for research. And when I delivered that as deadpan as I could with utter seriousness, the group members are behind me and like slowly backing away from everything that's happening. The pathology professor and my program director laughed their heads off, and we got an A+, so win.
Well done.
Sometimes it works.
Man.
What else do I hate that I should like?
Corey, I'm surprised you didn't say The Division is something that you should like.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Like I love third-person shooters, and I love RPGs, and I love Destiny, and like Gears of War is one of my most.
You didn't like The Division because you like Destiny. That's easy, Lee. Come on.
No,
you couldn't go to anywhere other than New York, Corey.
I don't. No, that's not the problem. The problem was like every blue, green, and yellow little triangle was exactly the same mission, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of doing this for 35 hours.
There were no wizards that came from the moon.
The sad thing is, I was so close to platinuming that game too. Like I was so close to platinuming that game, and like I turned on my PS4 I don't know, a month or two ago, and my character was gone when they were having those issues with the deleted characters. And I was like, you know what? I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. At that point, screw the Division. I'm out.
Yeah, and like on paper, that game sounded perfect. You know, it's like shared world RPG with mechanics similar to Gears of War. You can make your character how you want to look, and like you could build a character how you want. You have all these cool gadgets, and you could build a character like you could be a healer, or you could be a tanky glass cannon, or anything you wanted to be, you know. And like, it sounded amazing, and like somewhere
you sound so angry about it.
It's like it's the issue I have with every Ubisoft game, and some games hide it better than others, but like, man, you have to do, it's like the towers stuff in Far Cry, or like the sectioning off the city in Assassin's Creed, where like you have to do these missions before you move on to the next mission. And then like I think one of the biggest issues in that game was they actually made you farm those side missions and stuff. Like you actually felt like you had to farm those, and like when I just wanted to move on, I couldn't.
Didn't you have to do that in Destiny though?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. The levels kind of scaled as like like maybe not in vanilla Destiny, but I don't really remember. But after the Taken King came out, like the levels, like the campaign levels, scaled to what your levels should have been in the game.
Okay.
So,
all right.
because I just replayed all of Destiny on Xbox One to get my new character on Xbox One. So, but I mean, I wanted to like the Division so much, I just couldn't.
So to counterpoint that, I should like Destiny.
It's true.
I don't.
Yeah, I probably should.
Someone with the biggest Helldivers obsession.
Yeah, like if I had not played Helldivers, I might really love Destiny. No, and you're right, Lee. They're not the same, but there's so much about them
there's a lot of similarities in terms of like setting and I guess
and doing the same thing over and over. I mean, and that's in the Division too. That's in the Division too.
But that's in any game that requires a grind.
Mm-hmm.
Every game has a grind.
Says the man who does not like JRPGs.
Right. Which brings me back to why don't I like JRPGs?
See, and the funny thing is, like, this conversation, the way that this has gone, is exactly why it's exactly why I ever asked this question anywhere, because really, we all have our own hypocrisy, and we all have our own. Hypocrisy seems strong, but I don't know another word to choose right now. But yeah, and I think if we figure that out about ourselves, it sort of helps us look at the world a different way sometimes.
I'm sure.
And but anyway, I'm glad it went this way. Keep going.
I'm done. that was it for me.
That's like that Helldivers is actually a game I really, really wanted to get into, but I never found the time to play with anybody or actually try to like.
Corey, for your for as a gift to you for your PC, I'm gonna buy you Helldivers on PC so you can play with me on PC.
Why don't you guys play with me on PS4? You see, here's the thing: you guys never tell me you're playing.
I haven't on PS4. It was free.
Then let's play. Let's play. Stop! I'm hitting stop right now. We're playing. We're diving, son.
I gotta go to bed soon.
I don't care what you have to do.
I have 4 more shows to record tomorrow.
I have to go to bed. I should be in bed already.
Yeah.
You got to get up early tomorrow, don't you?
But Helldivers. Helldivers, bro.
To be honest, I'm probably I should be going to bed, but I need to finish ordering these PC parts for Lee, and then I need to edit this episode, and then while this episode processes before I upload it, I'm gonna watch. I've been watching Game Informer's Chronicles on Dark Souls 3 because I suck at that game and I'm trying to learn how to play it.
Dude, like, here. You don't need to watch the Game Informer thing. You need to just see. I'm gonna give you a little tip, okay? Don't get confused, Corey. See this? This is called a phone. This is a phone. It's a phone, not with an F, with a PH. And on this phone is something called an app, and it's look at that. It's Facebook messages. So what you can do is say to your buddy Matthew Keel, or however you have me in there, because you could change the name. You could say, "Hey, Matt, would you like to play Dark Souls 3?" And I would be like, "Yes, Corey. I'm working right now, but when I get off, we can play." And because everybody always messages me to play games when I'm at work, because that's usually just how this works.
Uh-huh.
And right, and then when I'm at home, I will just look for my buddy Rogue Spartan 4 on PS4, and I'll be like, "Hey, let's play Dark Souls." And then you'll be like, "Yeah, let's play Dark Souls." And you'll get good because I will train you. Now, the one thing I'm terrible at in those games is the PvP. I have not gotten good at that. I've tried. Again, I'm the problem.
I don't need to fight anybody that's harder than the bosses.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fair.
We can work with that. But and this was kind of a revelation for Moose, who I've been playing Bloodborne with. He's like, "Wow, this game really can be done co-op." And I said, "Yeah." I mean, there are only a few sections of the Souls series games that you can't co-op. And I think those sections are actually reasonable in terms of why you can't co-op them. I'm not going to go into that now, but
yeah,
later. That's another show.
Yeah.
However, what do you say? We've all talked about how we need to go to bed. Should we end this?
Yeah. It's probably a good idea.
Lee.
It's not like we're not going to do another one in a couple days or next week or whatever.
I hope it's not a hot mess just like last week's episode where Corey disconnected 20 minutes into it.
It's always a hot mess. It's the only kind of mess.
Yeah, I mean you can't have some sort of DNA podcast without something happening to it.
That's true.
Or me messing it up like I do.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's all gonna change when Lee builds me this. I get my own ivory tower. Well, it'll be
a mini tower.
What's a element that's not as valuable as ivory? Copper. It'll be like a copper.
Corey's gonna be in his pleather tower.
It's all right. Osorio's behind me too, so
yeah.
His tower isn't. I mean,
well,
I'll
not
have
all of us.
My wooden shack tower, my treehouse tower.
You're gonna have a Far Cry tower. That's what it is.
There you go.
Or each time you go up it, it's a puzzle.
Oh gosh, we're ending this episode before it goes anywhere.
Okay, but before we do, Lee, tell us about Extra Life again, because it's a good cause. It's a
great cause, and I mean it's something that we love to do, and you guys are going to be a part of it, right? You're going to be a part of the whole thing.
And I'm actually going to try my best not to wreck it.
That's all right. You can wreck it, just not in a bad way, because hospital affiliation.
Well, yeah.
But yes, once again, Extra Life. It's the best day of the year for us. It's our favorite time with playing video games, raising money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. How can you help? Well, let me tell you the ways. 1, donate to any of our participants. Check us out, facebook.com/Phoenix Overdrive, or check out our team page at extra-life.org/team/Phoenix Overdrive 16. 2, join the team, help raise funds as fundraising will go on until December 31st, 2016. 3, buy a Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life t-shirt, which is available now. Just hit up Ray Osorio for some details. Number 4, this guy right here, our 2016 Extra Life raffle featuring the PS4 Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection bundle. And last but not least, National Game Day is going to be on November 5th, 2016. So join us up here in upstate New York. Help us celebrate, raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You do not need to select Phoenix Overdrive's primary hospital to raise money for. So if you've got a hospital in your local area, wherever that may be, Philly, Ohio, wherever, you can raise money for them because they are your local CMN hospital and they need help too. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll be posting the links to that under the video, and I'm actually going to make a page on the website for the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life stuff. So, Lee, if you want to email me some of that stuff, just
Absolutely.
like all the details, I'll get that up on the website as well.
But
this has been another episode of NGR Radio, Nerds Gone Rogue. You can find this episode every Monday on digitalnerdadvocates.com and our YouTube page, Digital Nerd Advocates Network. And for Matt and Lee, I'm Corey, and we love you.
Yes, we do.
Since I'm here representing Phoenix Overdrive, I'll say it. #RiseAbove.
Banana now?
I don't have a catchphrase yet. Still working on that after a year and a half.
You need a catchphrase.